Good afternoon, Mr.
Afternoon. Yep.
Thank you for coming to our show today. I'm
Okay.
very privileged and honored to have you here. Uh,
Good.
I came to know about yourself as an
Yeah.
ecologist, and
Okay.
we hope to cover a couple of topics today. And
Sure.
over to you. I'm Yashoda,
Okay.
basically. I'm
Okay.
the owner and founder of Yash Foundation. I actually
Okay.
help people with meditation, self healing, as
Okay.
part of their journey, and I also help them uncover as to who they are and their life
Okay.
purpose. So over to you,
Okay.
Mr. Mohammed.
Yeah, I am Mohammed. I have a academic background as being a physicist, chemical engineer, and a doctorate holder in biodiversity in herpetology and herpetology. I hold about four doctorates and a PDF. My expertise was like I started the career being doing projects on biodiversity in Western Ghats, and I've been associated with many projects which was funded by U.S. Fisheries Wildlife Services and United States of Department of Agriculture. Served as a short tenure about 3 years in Zoological Societies of San Diego, and have been also honorary doctorate awarded by the Columbia University. So this is a kind of a very brief, just background, I could say. I served kind of projects which is basically a fieldwork oriented projects in Western Ghats in various places. That has made me an expertise on biodiversity and ecology. Ecology is nothing but anything related with living beings, which includes plants, living creatures, water bodies. It can be an ocean, it can be a sea, all these things which consist of together in the universe is called the ecology, which is a correlated one, which is synchronized between each other. That is how the living creatures live upon in the world. So this is the very brief, not too technically briefed about what is ecology.
That's so
E- Yeah, ecology has lot of branches, a lot of specialized branches, subjects and topics in ecology, which varies from forest agro, forest agri, forest kind of living beings, which you can bifurcate by mammalia, by kind of ornithology, like many together, which can be marine, which can be marine biology, which includes a part of management also. But
okay.
whereas management will not be in the subject or topic of ecology or biodiversity.
Okay.
Management is a separate topic, which normally a part and part, but still it is not much synchronized because it is not evaluated by ecology, because one living being will be synchronized, correlated with another living being. But management is not like that.
Right.
Management plays a kind of a tool. That's what I could say. So ecology is a kind of a vast subject as well. Technically, if you go, it has to be by part to part, like, and everything living in universe is also a kind of a core, what I can say, particle inside the ecological system,
Yeah.
and human beings plays a major role in that. So human beings have to live with the water, with food, with plants, with living creatures, all these things. Okay, so this is a must for a person to live, survive. Air is also another a part for a human being, which is very much necessity, which consists of ecology. So ecology is like that: land, water, air, living creatures, all other living creatures, even non-living creatures also. So this is what I will say. It's ecology as a bundle.
Essentially,
Okay.
we are coexisting with the nature.
Yes, yes. We give a name called nature. Okay, so we have to live within that. Okay, we survive within that. Without air, water, human beings cannot survive. So it is part of the life cycle. The same way, for another living being or a living creature, it is also what I can say part of the survival, which all these things consist to keep it alive.
Right.
Okay, even a plant needs air, plant needs sunlight to keep it alive. Okay, so ecology is a kind of a very, what I can say, core necessity thing to keep any living creature to be alive. Oh, okay, I could say it's a survival.
Yes.
Okay,
How
okay.
did how did
Now
you get into ecology? Maybe you want to give us a background as to what interested you to get into ecology, and what was the
it is,
motivation behind it?
yeah. It is a very simple way. I was quite interested to do treks, and quite fascinated with wildlife and nature. Probably the treks would have been done mostly into the forest. So that is an interconnect for the passion. And I started as a hobby, probably liking to do long treks, climbing mountains, and everything goes through the forest. So forest consists of many things. So we encounter wildlife, we encounter birds, we encounter reptiles, a lot of rivers, tributaries, streams, mountain, rocks, hills, like that. So this is the bundle, I could say. So that made us, but slowly when I picked up, like when I did my graduation, I did two UGs, which one is BSc Physics, and I did a BTech Chemical Engineering in REC Trichy. But that time, I didn't expect that this would become a career for me, where I have no clue why I did engineering, and BSc Physics was a base for me to get into any option I can take. But after engineering, when I tried pursuing masters, I wrote a lot of exams, so I was able to clear a exam which was a kind of all India competitive exam for just 16 seats. About 3 lakh applications were there. The basic eligibility criteria was my UG degree BSc. So, which was in Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, where like out of 3 lakh, only 16 seats are allocated, and 16 candidates are inducted. And these 16 seats are mostly 100% scholarship with the free studies, free fees, free hostel, free food. Okay. And out of that, you have your MSc dissertation. That dissertation makes any person to inspire or select a topic to pursue the expertise in future. So out of that, MSc dissertation was on biodiversity, which I worked on herpetology. So biodiversity was the topic in MSc, and with that I did my PhD, first PhD doctorate with that. So I have spent a decent number of years in Dehradun, and like correlated with Minister of Environment Forest funding. And I was also put up in many embassies in many countries as a kind of a cultural attaché, where like I used to go take classes, like promote the Indian ecosystem, and we used to get funds from various organizations and various countries. So that's how I landed up in San Diego. So it was more like a person transfer because my projects in India and Western Ghats were funded by US Fisheries and Wildlife Services. So I was able to do a person transfer selected by the US team to work over there. That's how all these things happen. As such, when I look like, okay, being an academic background, it's quite very interesting. I also could profoundly say I worked under a lot of legends, I could say. The director of Wildlife Institute of India, those days was like one Dr. AJT Johnsy. Till his last breath, he lived a legendary life for a kind of a wildlife. He's a master in elephants, in pachyderm, and he also have produced or being a mentor as being a director of WF for many IFS officers. At least I could say about 300, 400 IFS officers being trained under him as students. So he's a legendary guy, and he's also basically from South India. He started his career in 1969. When we have worked under him, that also was an inspiration. And we as a fraternity, we don't call this as a career or a job oriented. It's a fraternity. And during our days or my days, we didn't have connectivity as what we are now with luxury of media, mobile phones. In those days, like a phone was a luxury which you had to go to a post office or to any place to make a phone call, which was like expensive, quite far off to reach even a post office. So that is how days were by only by communicating by letters, traveling by train and public transport to reach any place for any seminar, workshop, or any training programs. It was a hard life. We worked in the field which was mostly into the core forest with leech bites, tick bites. A real forester would cannot avoid a leech bite during the monsoon season or a wet ground, and cannot avoid a tick bite during the summer and the hot season. So you have to live. That is also a coexist and correlated with the human being when you work on the field. As such, if you look into career aspects, India was not a place then when a person graduates or master himself in terms of conservationist, ecologist, or a scientist. Even till today, it is a kind of a challenge if somebody is even mastered. It's a really challenge a person has to find an employment. A lot of people find it very difficult, challenging. We don't have much options, no institutions other than few NGOs who recruit. And all these few NGOs are formed by the senior most legendary scientist or the conservationist. Whereas outside India, if I could say globally, overseas, there are few countries which considered even an environmental scientist as a scientist and recognized with the proper employment. Career is different, employment is different. Employment is mostly based on your academic background for a bread and butter survival, probably a growth. But career is entirely different. It's more with dedication. You have to master yourself, which is a kind of task, I could say, in a life. And not everybody would be an expertise of the same one. So everybody differs, every individual differs between their own expertise of what they are. So career is entirely different. But career is recognizable, but not as what we find it in India.
Yes.
India do have a kind of what I can say academic institution where they teach you, tune you, but whereas when it comes to a point of employment, it is really challenging. We find it very hard even nowadays. The only option people have is overseas other than India. This is the ill fate in whole of Southeast Asia. Even for a marine biologist or a kind of ecologist or a conservationist or a scientist which has a background with the kind of biology or zoology in a common layman terms. So this is how it has. But whereas we all talk about climatic change, conservation, we talk about biodiversity, everything. But unfortunately, not many are aware what is real biodiversity is. So again, I don't want to stretch beyond technically, which is also a kind of vast topic to discuss, which is a long time. It goes days by days. So as such, this is how I could say. It's a very lovely career, lovely fraternity. It is more like you look upon the next generation and your survival on a healthy manner on your daily life. That is how I say environment, like which can be termed as conservationist or ecologist or a biodiversity person. But if you look the present scenario, everybody has, the whole globe has hit hard of the seasons, like very erratically monsoons are there. Erratically, sun goes very high in temperatures.
Yes.
Humidity is there. Natural calamities, probably high tide waves in the oceans and seas, and very low going temperatures in high altitudes. In some snowy areas, which was like optimum of minus 25, now it goes up to 36, minus 36, which is very errant, I could say. So that is a difficult challenge for a human being to survive in his own native or a soil where he is living now. So this is again created by our own people, which I, me, you, everyone is responsible because we didn't take things into kind of realization. We didn't take into kind of a very proper manner what all we have been uh, doing or troubling the nature in terms of infrastructure development and developments. We have destroyed the maximum. And there is not much yet to destroy. It is only a part where we can only manage. Conservation is also out of topic nowadays because there is no reuse, recycle. A lot like we need put a word called that is not happening in any human being on its daily to daily life basis, irrespective of age. But rather, we speak in schools, we speak in institutions, we speak in organization, we speak in an open forum. that we have to do, we have to concern about that. Whereas we are not able to do that because it is not a one-man job that can be done overnight. So this is the scenario. The rise in temperature, rise in humidity, it is all the same. Too much of developments under the name of infrastructure, heavy tall buildings, which has made the wind pattern, which is also biodiversity, that major biodiversity hit hard. Is the wind patterns have changed because on the shorelines, all the tall buildings have been an obstruct and an obstacle for the winds and breeze to pass by to form the regular seasonal changes in weather. We don't have seasons anymore, and we don't have seasonal monsoons. We don't have seasonal summers anymore. So this is all because the coastlines are not protected, which comes into ecology as well as biodiversity. And it starts from every person's daily to daily life. We extensively usage of plastic, extensively usage of dumping garbage, which is not degradable in the soil, and lot of trees. As agriculture point of view, even a planter, a farmer is also a part and parcel of the conservation because he is also a naturalist.
Yes.
But that is not happening. Okay,
So,
so
question,
yeah.
where are you creating these awareness programs? You're tying up with some institutions or
No, I started doing from my college days during my dissertation. I used to go to all the village and urban schools, talk about herpetology, which I initiated to make sure every human being, right from school teachers to the school children, at a very, very young age, to know which is a venomous snake and which is non-venomous snake, which to fear, which not to fear. But people started killing everything.
okay,
Okay, when you see a snake, because there is no awareness how to identify a snake, whether it is venomous or not, non-venomous.
right?
A snakes plays a major role in every field, whether it is an agriculture field or it's a mountain range or a foothill or an open area. Snakes are the balancing, what I can say, animal, reptile, which balances eggs, eats rodents, controls the pest, rodents, and everything, which we call snakes. Reptiles are the friends of the farmers. Simultaneously, there were jackals, which we called fox, were there in almost in all the agriculture lands and even in the foothills, hills, and dry lands. Jackals used to balance all the birds, which what against the low flying birds, which has nets on the ground. They used to eat the eggs and they survive, so that the eggs are balanced. The population was kept under control in almost all India. Unfortunately, jackal population didn't dwindle. Now it is at the verge of extinct, where the birds have been more. Like for example, peacocks are more nowadays. Jackals were the one key animal which was keeping it intact of the population of the peacocks, where peacocks are the menace for the farmers when they do a cash crop.
Okay,
When they sow tomatoes, chilies, like all these shrubby cash crop or 90 days cash crops, all these are now destroyed at the time of sowing itself by the peacocks and the low flying birds.
okay,
So this cycle has been broken apart. Now you can't what I can say, reunite or reback this. Unfortunately, when you talk into conservation, there is a possibility of reintroduction of foxes in all the areas. But where or who is going to do? You cannot always expect or blame the government. The government is responsible because here finance plays a major role, and again getting the right species, developing that species, letting into a right pocket where it can survive and can bring the population back again and can balance it. So there's a lot of things which is also a challenge now, and NGOs also have to look into, but so-called NGOs don't look into kind of any positive prospective manner. NGOs can do it. NGOs, if they have funds, approach the government, fight it across, say that okay, reintroduction of these species as going back will also support you to have a healthy generation genetically in human beings also. There is a possibility for modifying the genetical structure.
okay,
It is an example, what I can say, a pregnant woman or a conceived mother. what she consumes also is a supportive for her genetical structure.
Correct.
Example, a pregnant mother, if she is not able to have a quality feed or a kind of healthy feed of her food, staple food, which can be pulses, cereals, rice, etc. When these are genetically modified and you don't get a healthy quality one, there is a possibility for a gestation diabetic to hit upon, and the offspring which comes out for the world is with the diabetic and the poor immune levels, all these things. So
True.
the agriculture produce is a key thing which also supports a human being, which comes for the genetically. Genetically modification happens with your own food habits, lifestyle habits, and everything. So this is how things are now in a very kind of odd manner. We again talk, we again like, of course, even this is also an awareness program we talk about, but it has to reach, it has to be kind of an eye opening for many, many human beings. It is not a society. If you take the whole bundle of human beings, has to open their eyes, look into kind of healthy aspect of living, which is dependable on nature.
Mm.
Absolutely, life is like that. You have to depend. But even now, rivers, tributaries, streams, you take perennial water, like even a kind of well water is contaminated. Who is the reason for that?
Yeah.
We don't have water in many places, which once upon a time was flourishing with water in the ground table level. Today, we don't have extensive mining, extensive sand mining. There's a lot of things like
So what advice
again.
would you, sorry to interrupt, so what advice would you give to both the NGOs and the government to bring a balance to this situation?
See, if this is a kind of very politically tricky topic also. Like, see, if you look in terms of economy aspect, Southeast Asian countries are hit hard right from say about 1920s onwards, or even from 1809 onwards. We were ruled or controlled by the Westerners. It can be British, it can be Portuguese, it can be French, it can be irrespective, but Westerners dominantly. And most of the cheap people who I could say literacy was not given to us, we had a tough time only being taken as slaves to do hard labor. We are very good in doing skillful job and hard labor. So that was exploited when these what again, so superpower people came into the country, exploited. Irrespective, dominantly, they took only the Southeast Asian people. It can be a Chinese, it can be a Malaysian, it can be an Indian, it can be a Filipino, it can be. This is a global scenario if you to look because we are rich in the kind of minerals, rich abundantly with self-sufficient within their own country. Resources were abundant. We didn't realize, we didn't know how to use the resources.
Right.
Whereas these people came, took the resources, wiped out the resources, utilizing us as the hard labor under the name of slaves, under the name of prisoners, like that. And how tea was introduced to India, it is again a POW, prisoner of war. They came, they cleared the forest, start showing. And once upon a time, I could say those days, tea was smuggled as a kind of what I can say, not luxury, rich item.
Yeah.
And it was more like a barter trade. That's how it went, came from China, it went into many countries. Same way, the coffee also.
Yes.
Coffee was a kind of a very rich trading point, okay, or a commodity. Which in exchange it was more than the gold. Okay, gold was not valued those days, whereas these kind of products were valued most days, which only the elite and the rich people in exchange used to do this. Like
Spices and
so, the
minerals, basically.
absolutely like that. India was very very rich with minerals also.
Yes.
Even till today, we are rich with emeralds, we are rich with the sapphires, we are rich with quartz, we are rich with feldspar, we are rich with coal. You touch the ground, you are rich with many things, which includes even oil and natural gas as well. But who identified this? Only the whites identified, they exploited, utilizing as a labor. So this is a scenario with all the Southeast Asian countries. You take Malaysia, you take Indonesia, you take Philippines, you take Thailand. All these are now, even now, exploited. How they are exploited now? If you take politically, the superpowers want to show their superpowers majorly, like under the name of treaty agreements supporting with technology. They lure these economically weaker countries with high population, where the population is so immense. That are the countries were focused to lure them under political point of view, and dominant by saying, okay, we'll fund this, we'll provide this. Automatically, we again become dependent, or we become like a slave for the superpowers, where politically it is ruled upon our heads.
Right.
Okay, they say conservation we fund, we give you, but they say you protect whatever you have. Well, only they say protect the forest, because we are again abundant with forest. Like India is the only country where it has all sorts of climates. You have shoreline, you have ocean, sea, you have snowfall, high altitude, Himalayas, desert. What else you want? Everything is there only in India. You go to any other country, you can't find, at least you lack one in there. But these things are again exploited by the superpowers. And again, we are also growing very high in our population. Economically, we are hitting hard ourselves. But whereas we are dependable for the superpowers to fund employment, a lot of other things, we are being taken away for cheap labor. If you take the Southeast Asia, which is exploited now, the best jungles are wiped out under the name of palm trees for the palm oil. Again, the biggest consumer is nothing but the US and the other superpower countries, where their population are there. US is not going to change because they have already destructed themselves. Because if I could say in a very harsh manner, they have their bamboo in their ass, and they have been exploited, destroyed the nature to the maximum extent. They are not going to change, whereas they are trying to create an image, making us to talk about or aware about the what again richness or luxury of the nature. Okay, whereas they are not preserving, they are not conserving their own by their own. But whereas if you look into kind of pest, if you look into kind of natural calamities, US gets very big. Pest, if you take kind of swarm of bees, you take swarm of insects, it goes like a cloud. Swarm means it's huge
Right.
and extensively it destroys.
Right.
Okay, and they were the people who invent, create all the pest control of chemicals, fertilizers. Again, it destroys the genetical structure and the lifeline of the human beings.
Yes. I think
Okay,
all that
yeah.
being said, I think we are becoming more self-sufficient, if I'm correct, because I think there are a lot of efforts being put out by each government of the Asian countries. But at the same time, there is a challenge, but there is a progress as well. Uh,
I don't think so. Government put efforts in any manner. They get the funds, but what is preserved? If there is a preservation, Malaysia would have preserved the Sarawak jungles.
so,
Now, where the Sarawak jungles exist now, they would have preserved a part of Borneo Islands, which is very rich in biodiversity. If you take India, many have been destroyed under the name of mining, sand drilling. Lot, I could say. So, how government is going to protect? Like it is already allowed for destruction. Government job is only to systemize a management, where management also play a major crucial role in conservation,
right,
where you cannot exploit extensively. It has to be managed properly, systemized, or worked under an organized manner. But whereas technology is not playing a role with that. Until today, we have natural calamities. Like we have to now only expect about earthquakes, probably heavy typhoons and hurricanes in all the coastal line.
right,
But that is what it is happening now.
correct.
Why Chennai is flooding? Chennai, why take a Bangalore? Why Bangalore is flooding? What happened to the trees? What happened to the shock absorbers, which were like kind of ponds, lake tanks, which used to absorb the rainwater
Rainwater.
and not allowing the cloudburst to happen? Now, cloudburst happens in Bangalore itself.
Yeah,
Once upon a time, I could say Bangalore was a very luxury place for climate, where very pleasant climate was there. Now you can't mean that. Okay, because destruction is there.
yeah, it was a very different weather in Bangalore previously, but today is totally different.
Again, if you take Mysore, now the next exploitation is happening in Mysore in the name of infrastructure development. If you take the KSR dam down slope till Belola, beyond Belola, it was a rich agriculture land. Now you can't see paddy fields. You can see only buildings, real estates, a restaurant, very broad highways, which is not necessary. And we talk about protection of the dam because dam is the lifeline for the water source.
Resource, yes.
Okay. So all these things, you take any country, you name it, except in some Eastern European countries, forest is a big resource which they harvest forest from the forest. They manage that so that they have a better environment, not troubled. They concentrate on the CO2 emission also. You take Netherlands, you take many countries, they are well aware about that. They don't use much cars. They still go by bicycles. They try to harvest green energy. They are really conservative in a for focus and forward talk.
Right.
That is how we have to be. We only talk. We are made to talk.
But sometimes there is a requirement in the modern world where you need infrastructure to move around, right?
What is the requirement we have in modern world other than tall buildings?
No, I'm talking about infrastructure as in
What?
road.
Why you need roads when there is no necessity for that roads, which is not utilized at all?
But
Inside a forest, you have a four lane. Why you need a four lane?
yeah, we don't need like huge lanes, but at least we need a good you know,
Why you need everywhere?
not everywhere, but it depends on the.
But it is everywhere. You take Malaysia, you take. Deep into Sarawak, there are four-lane roads. Why you need four-lane roads? In India, in mid of Shakleshpur, you have four-lane roads. Why you need four-lane roads? Why you need tunnels digging in between the mountains? Why you need tunnels? Is tunnels tomorrow it is going to destruct the mountain. One day it will fall down. You will have loss of lives as well as the entire mountain will collapse. The mountain tomorrow would be a big source for balancing the climate. That also will get interrupted.
So
Why
essentially,
you need?
yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, you're saying that by destructing the forests and the environment, actually, it's
Yes.
yeah, the future is in our hands to yeah from a
Why people didn't stand as an obstacle, saying that making the government to realize that this is not required now, this is not necessary. Roads, of course, we need, but where we need is what the requirement is. It is not everywhere we need.
Do you have
Okay.
something like a graphical chart or something where you can?
Everybody has, every government has, every agency has. They are being nowadays updated by themselves with satellite pictures. Everybody has. Okay, you can just Google up, you'll have 10 websites of global, like satellite connected charts, maps, everything. More than that, what they need. But what they make use of it.
Yes, that's where I was going to ask. Like, who is the advisory that is giving?
Why is there? There are many, which includes a scientist, which includes an NGO, which includes a government agency, which includes a corporate. Everybody is there.
So there is a imbalance in the advice, right? As to
There is
how,
no balance.
yeah,
There is no balance. You're extensively, what I can say, very extensively used. So how do you expect a balance there?
yeah,
Well, that's the sad part. See, you have to assess. Why do we call it due intelligence? Why do we call it an audit, pre-audit?
yes,
You have to assess that what amount is required, whether it is required or not. It has to be a debatable point. Okay, because a lot of things will get involved with that because money is involved, which is an economy essential source. All these are there. They should know whether okay this investment is going to go. For example, take a road. If there is a road, if it is connecting from one industry part to another part where it's a delivery point, when there is a frequency, when the economy is going to boom or grow without destructing, then you can think about a road. But when you think about a road where there is no necessity for any kind of economic growth or any growth, why do you say it's an infrastructure development and destroy the nature?
right. So
So it's
essentially,
a debate. It's a debatable, but now debatable is inevitable because it's not necessary to be debate upon. The already done is done. You can't revamp that.
right.
See,
Whatever.
even rail.
whatever is left is what we need to conserve, right?
No, that we talk every day, no?
Yeah.
Conserve, protect whatever is left. We don't do that. See, whatever the forest here
Mm,
is not going to expand. You cannot have a compensation ground creating another forest what you have destructed.
mm,
But as a rule book, there is a rule that you cut one tree, you have to plant 10 trees. Out of 10 trees, 8 trees has to survive. And after a stipulated period only, you can cut down that one tree. That is the survival rate of that should be 80%. But we don't do that. We only cut, do the infrastructure development.
mm.
If you look into the compensation grounds, there is no compensation grounds.
Okay, that's where consideration has to be given, right?
Yes, again, under the name of spirituality, a big gathering happens on the river banks, on the river. What is that? Already river is destructed, polluted, it stinks badly, it is toxic. And why you want to conduct the programs on that? What is going in return? What is going to give back to a human being?
Mm. Agree with
Spirituality. They talk only about spirituality. Again, a color, creed, religion, color is given. That is sad. That is absolutely sad.
you. Right. And they
Okay.
also
So,
do river rafting in that river as well. So
so
that
again, that also has to be systemized and organized. Now, river rafting means number of gathering of human beings, your garbage, your pollution,
pollution.
the pressure you are going to amount on the rivers. You are going to be an obstacle for the river flow. You are going to be an obstacle for the nature and putting tents on the river banks, everything. Human excretes lot of output which is of no use. That is a pollution. That is also toxic. You look into the sanitation point of view. You bring out disease, endemic. Then tomorrow it becomes a pandemic. So all these things. Your river is not a controllable part. It flows to its own. Whatever it carries for a longer distance, which can be a sanitation issue, health issue.
Healthy.
A lot of living beings inside the river get destructed or died or extinct. It can be a fish species, it can be a plankton species, it can be a fungi species, it can be a bacteria species. Lot of things are there. It is all lot of things. Invisible is also there. Lot we may not know which we are going to destruct by our own pressures.
Yeah.
We might think we are on a luxury. Okay, river rafting is a sport. We can give a lot of names, but in return, what do you give back to the nature? That is a concern here.
Yes.
Without troubling, without restricting, if you do, it is appreciable.
Mm.
But rather, you should not talk and do a destruction. It is rather to be quiet rather than getting into involved into that.
Yeah, looks
So
like
this
there's
is
a lot of lack of understanding when they're introducing or using the nature to for
yeah,
personal gains basically.
yeah.
I mean, river
No, see,
rafting, for example,
here,
they've given a clear
yeah. Yeah,
information.
here many countries lack one thing is population grows day by day immensely rapidly. To
Yeah,
sustain that, employment is only the source. So we also find various way to give employment. Okay, river rafting can be part of employment for the local community. That's what we think. But in return, we are not going to gain. In return, we are only going to destroy. The destroy will hit hard, yes, for us. Not only for the person who is 100 kilometers away, the person who lives next to that, who is dependable on the source, is also going to get the hit back. Okay, today probably for a period of 2 years, 5 years, it might look okay. Probably he would have made his breadwinning properly. Unfortunately, third year, the natural calamity hit hands. He loses the entire what against a fortune or his earnings. Then he suffers also. Not only
true.
he that gives a hit hard for a society and the entire population living over there. So now who is the responsible? Like
Right.
awareness programs can be given, but who is going to implement the awareness
Implement.
program?
It is
Every individual has to
every,
think in the civic manner.
yes, every individual, every community where we live, we have to start
Yep.
taking action towards conservation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
That is how. See, it's a kind of very tricky situation what we are living. If I talk 30 years before, I feel we were living in luxury.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't have this much of pollution. We
Yeah.
had seasonal rains. We had proper climate. We
Correct.
were enjoying. We didn't realize the value that
Outdoor.
time.
Yes.
Yeah, the luxury what we had, we didn't know that is a luxury.
Mm.
We had abundantly. But now I am also one responsible that I made a damage where my luxury is gone. Now I grumble upon. Okay, that's the sad part.
Yes.
So, so that's okay. Now you ask your questions. What you have?
Yeah, so we talked about a lot of issues, but what are the ecological benefits? I mean, that gives back to living beings, essentially. In a
Ecological balance is very less nowadays. We are losing agriculture.
yeah, okay.
Okay, everywhere. I'm not talking about it's a global scenario.
Yes.
Okay, either in some countries the produce is excessive. Okay, and when there is excessive, the impact also will be massive. Okay, so we look only into the numbers. We don't look into quality. Okay,
Yes.
and systemizing, we don't have a tool. We don't have a methodology for systemizing. We work on that, but we are not allowed to test what we work on for a systemizing a kind of a system to be implemented.
Mm.
The system is always a trial and error, but you have to allow the system to function first. You have to allow a breathing time to get that system to give a result. We don't even implement the system. We talk, okay, there is an invention of a system. I have invented that, but where you are going to comply, where you are going to test it.
Mm.
So that platform we are lacking. We have platform, we are not allowing the platform to make use of this to give a result. Only when we have results, we will know whether it is positive or negative, or if there is a troubleshoot. If we solve the troubleshoot, we will know where we stand upon.
What is the platform you're referring to? Can you
Platform are many. Human beings are the platform. Societies are the platform.
right?
Okay.
Be
So
ourselves.
when you talk about ecotourism, who is going there in the name of ecotourism?
Human.
Ah, does any animal calls us? You come see me. I'm available. This like does any animal say that? No.
No, they prefer
Ah,
not to be disturbed.
yes, of course. And second, we also go live in their domain. Why we have human animal conflict?
Yeah,
You take Coimbatore every day, every night, everywhere there is elephants. Okay, inside the residential area.
yeah,
Why? I'm also a person who was born in Coimbatore, lived there till my sixth standard. The place where now the elephant is, I have never heard in my life there were elephants there. How did the elephants come over there? Because we went inside their domain
right,
under the name of residence, under the name of even the agriculture was persisting during those days, but there was no animals over there. Here and there, we hear foxes, jackals over there. That's it. More than that, we never heard about any big animals there. Now, elephants are everywhere. Any place you name it, right from Kerala border, Mardamalai, you come to Kanuvai, Tudilur. I still remember Kanuvai was an outskirt where hardly there was body in the brick kilns were there. But this brick kiln people extensively swindled the earth crust, which went so deep destruction of sand mining for making bricks, where the entire elephant corridor has been disrupted. Now with that fragmented, broken areas, elephants are passing by inside the peripheral area. But it is walking in its own domain area. But whereas houses are there, bricklin mining is so deeper, if an elephant gets inside, it is not able to come out.
right.
So that path is also what I can say diverted because of a human interruption there.
Mm-hmm.
Now we talk, we grumble. Whom to blame? We blame the government. We blame the forest department. What forest department will do? Forest department is not a reason for the elephants to walk in. Okay, you construct a lot of houses in the path. Okay, but these paths were diverted by ourselves, were diverted by us only. Okay, elephant doesn't have any navigator. He doesn't have a GPS or an instrument in hand to say, okay, if I walk on the northern side, there is a house, so we will take a deviation. It doesn't know. It will walk with her sensory motors. It will walk straight. Whatever comes in between is an obstacle for the animal. And that animal is very huge. Obstacle might be a field, might be a house, might be something. So for that huge animal, one small push will be a heavy hit for us. So that is how. Okay, that's a nature. None of the animal does anything intention
So
way. Okay.
instead of appreciating them being there, we are saying that they are encroaching us.
Yes, absolutely. That is the fact. No.
Yes, true.
See, there are some places which I appreciate. Okay. If you look into Mudumalai, Bandipur, Wayanad, immense traffic is there, connectivity of lorries, trucks, which is very, very necessity to bring commodities for the human community, irrespective of states. Okay. If Karnataka and Tamil Nadu is not supportive, there is no bloodline connectivity to Kerala side in terms of vegetable and other commodities. But all these roads plying inside these forest core areas have never been extended, not even an inch being extended.
Okay.
If they would have done that, today the human animal conflict would have been grown more. The best part is people had an eye opening, approached the court for a remedy. Now they are closing the roads by 9 in the morning, night and 6 in the morning. Till then they close
Yeah.
because the accidents between the trucks and the vehicles hitting hard with the animals and road kills were very high. So
Okay.
how to protect them? They are also living beings. They have the same rights as what we do.
What we
I could rather say they have more rights than us. Okay. So how to protect them? Now this prevents kind of what I can say the road kills. Okay. But here and there sporadically there are road kills, but that is inevitable. But still there is an awareness because the law is very strict and stringent, very heavily punishable. So people are now properly abiding and obeying the law.
right.
Okay, like a lot of elephants were killed on the road. Okay, even now there are a lot of elephants killed in the railway tracks. Slowly they are working out with the technology.
Right.
Very recently in West Bengal, there was about a kill of about 10 or 12 elephants which was hit by a train.
Mm.
Okay, because elephants do not know they are passing through a railway track or a busy track or by a road. They pass by, and when an elephant herd crosses, when you count as a clan, what against a team of elephants consists of at least 30 to 35 individuals,
Okay.
which can be irrespective of a calf, a mother, father, whatever you can. It will be a kind of big herd. It's a clan we call.
Yeah.
But when that crowd crosses, it takes minimum of time of 10 to 15 minutes to cross swiftly.
Yeah.
But by the time the speed of the train or a truck would hit hard, the impact is very, very high.
Mm.
Fatality is very high. That's a sad part now.
Okay.
That's so a lot of things are there. But
Okay.
slowly it is reducing because like we are now bringing laws quite very strongly, strictly. Okay, unless what I can say, we are brought in a rough hands, we are not obeying it now.
Right.
Okay, so that is how this is a universal global scenario where when it comes to environmental forest matters, the law is pretty strict. In many countries, you can't even drive or ride a bicycle inside a forest area unless otherwise it is permissible. You have to have a permit, and that also has an age limit. Beyond a certain age, only you are permissible to enter into that, whether you ride a bicycle or you walk.
Mm.
And many countries in many forests, you cannot just like that go under the name of tourism or trekking. Okay, and a lot of things are not allowed, permissible to enter. You can't carry a water bottle also in some places, and whatever you carry, you have to bring it back, which even your fecal matter also. In many countries, you trek in mountains, you can't pee there.
Mm.
So those are the things very, very stringent because they are very organized, systemized to protect the environment, at least to conserve the environment. So this is how it has to be.
I think there's more of a awareness, I think, to individual,
Yes.
because it cannot be just abiding by the law, but also an individual civic sense as to when you go visit these places, when you
Yeah.
you need to bring back all those water bottles that you're using. Instead
Everything,
of using
everything.
a water bottle, you carry a eco-friendly, that you always use it instead of using the single-use plastic water bottles.
No, plastic is banned in many places. You can't even bring it inside or take it. You have to carry a water bottle, drink the water, and most of the water sources are available inside the place where you go or visit. And that is also healthy, stable to drink. Or you carry a water bottle with water, you have to bring back. With that water bottle is noted and it is accountable when you are in the entry point. You have a lot of rules and regulations, abiding, agreeing that rules and regulations, you are allowed to enter the park.
Right.
That is how it happens in many countries.
I think that is mainly in the overseas, right? But in India, if you see in the Himalayas, in
Himalayas have in few places.
okay.
Himalayas, but that is not that easy accessible for a human entrance. And in some high altitude, there are kind of very good stringent restrictions.
Okay.
Like you cannot do that. There are few places which is permissible only for a period of 3 months or 2 months. Okay, and that conditions are very adverse condition. Not everyone can do it.
Okay. Okay.
It needs a kind of very high endurance. Your normal temperature would be -20, -15, like that. The lake need to freeze. There are certain things. So a person has to prepare quite well in advance when you need to do that.
Yes.
So you are well notified. Your awareness, your civic sense really plays a part. What to be done, what not to be done, what to carry, what not to carry.
Yeah.
Even in US, you go to Utah, Idaho, many places you can't carry. You cannot go piss there. You cannot pee there. There are some places. Whatever you pee, you carry back. They give you certain things which you piss in that, pee in that, carry back. You don't leave a single hair of yours inside that area. So that is how there is a area where only in that area you can camp on. When
Okay.
you camp that, there are many things you should not do. You are not allowed to do. So
Okay.
these are the things which still keeps intact, preserve that concerned area.
Maybe these
And
are
those,
kind of learnings that we need to bring to some of the places within India and in some of the other,
see, we talk about
preservation
every conservationist, every ecologist, or every person who is interested or well aware about what is happening in other countries, how it is preserved, how it is controlled. But when it comes to their own places, they don't intend to do themselves. Okay, try to do themselves. Okay, they are part and parcel of the ecology system. They are well qualified, well known. Unfortunately, they abide. They know all the procedures what is happening. But we come here, we talk, we don't, we really don't employ them. See, I'll tell you, I do have some children which I feel proud to mention.
Okay.
Last week, I was able to take a 10-year-old boy to do a trek in a place in Kerala. It's a core area trek we did very comfortably. I felt the kid would find it hard to do the trek. First was that endurance point. The kid did a comfortable trek of 37 kilometers. The knowledge what the kid has, I was really surprised. I really feel proud of the kid because kid didn't bring any chocolates. Kid was very well aware that not even a single paper or any garbage to be dropped in. He had a cloth bag. He didn't bring any bag. He was like a little spiritual, saying that the forest is equal to Sabrimala, no garbage to be dropped. He looks in a spiritual manner. Okay, he walked all these 37 kilometers, and whenever we cook dinner inside our camping site, he makes sure that after cooking, he cleans that
Yes.
place properly, organize that place properly. Okay, so this who taught this? A kid of 10-year-old has an awareness which he does by himself. I feel very proud that he's organized. He knows what is the nature value.
Value of.
He is well aware what to be done, how to act when you trek, how to act inside the forest. No loud speaking, like a very, very, what I can say, well behaved, well mannered.
Mm.
Like probably the parents would have taught, or probably parents would have given hints, or would have learned from school, or learned from society, or would have been admired, or kind of with any individual where he'd have seen like properly behaving, properly doing things in a very civic manner.
That is
Okay.
much. Thanks for bringing
Like,
and
yeah.
appreciating that
So
child.
we have to encourage that child.
Yes.
That child also can pass on this message to few others, probably
Right.
of the same age group or to elders. He also could set an example to some elders saying that when a kid of that age, younger to them, is doing, why can't we do it?
Mm. True.
That is an eye opening, no?
True. True.
Okay. So then this is how it has to happen. Like if you sow 10 seeds, you can't expect all 10 seeds are fruitful. Okay. We expect at least 4 seeds to be fruitful.
Yeah, it comes from our own grassroots, right? We
Yes,
can't, yeah,
yes.
yes, our own value, what we
Values. Yes, yes,
value starts from home. So from home,
yes.
we
Home. Yes, you start from home. You start from your bed. You sleep. See, you can identify a person, how he is, how well behaved, how mannered is when you look at the bed of a person. The place where he sleeps, it starts from there.
where he lives, basically, how
Yes,
he has
yes,
maintained his home.
yes. Like that's how like.
True.
So tell me what else you
Yeah.
need.
So, what is the advice you want to give to the current youth generation? You know, if they want to pick up ecologist as their career, what advice would you give them? How do they go about applying for it? What qualification do they
Oh,
need?
there are a lot of managements now in India which has wildlife biology, wildlife management. We don't have many institutions like how we have engineering colleges, medical colleges, or arts and science colleges. We have few, but the few is also pretty very good. We also have a subject in almost all the science colleges or engineering colleges, environmental science.
Mm,
But now the trend is not much into environment. People go into artificial intelligence, machine learning, like that. Okay, they look into kind of trend setting for their bread and butter or career. But
yes,
whereas environmental science is a demandable subject in whole of the world.
yes,
Microbiology is another subject. Biochemistry is another subject, which also plays a major role in ecology.
yes,
Microbiology and biochemistry, there are a lot of things which can invent or invented, which can use for controlling lot of things, which can be controlling pollution, effluents, pollution, like that actually. Okay. So like wildlife biology is also there. Wildlife biology is in Tamil Nadu. It's we called AVC College, which is an old ancient college in Mayiladurai. Wildlife Institute of India in Dehradun. Again, that is the old college. The mother of all the institutions are the Forest Research Institute in Dehradun, which was built in 1803.
okay.
And there are few more other institutions in the north itself. Okay, like there is a desert ecology institution which is in Gujarat, and if you are good enough, there is an institution for forest management in Indore.
Okay.
Like that we do have, and now some universities have very good, like Utkal University Bhubaneswar have very good faculties for amphibians and reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
And these are institutions which, as a ecology or a biology prospect, a person can study and build a career in that. Well, really a professional career. Environmental science is a kind of a demandable subject. Microbiology also across the globe. Various industries. It is not only in the point or perspective of any institution, but various industries have a proper portfolio for an scientist or environmentalist, which they want, whatever the toxic or whatever the pollutant they send it output
Out.
as a product or a byproduct, which is an effluent or which is a kind of a non-usable product that is being treated, controlled, and then discharged to the common output.
Mm-hmm.
Till then, this environmentalist or the environmental science technician or an engineer plays a major role with the technology. Whatever the release, okay, waste product is controlled, which is like diluted. The concentrated level is totally diluted, and then it is sent out.
Mm-hmm.
They have a kind of what I can say again, an industrial rules and policy by the concerned government that these are the statutory mandatory which has to have for those kind of industries. So these people have a kind of a decent employment, which includes microbiology, biochemistry also.
Mm-hmm.
Same microbiology, biochemistry also plays a major role in pharma companies also for making tablets, medicines, a lot of things like. Okay, so this is also kind of an ecology or a biology oriented subjects, science related.
Yes, yes.
Oh, this is the career. Okay, next.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming down to
Okay.
discuss about this topic. It's so interesting that I
Oh,
hope the viewers have a better understanding as to why we have
mm.
to love the nature and also live with the nature.
Yep,
We are the one who have to take action, from the grassroots to have a balance between
sure.
nature and
Yeah.
ourselves. Any other conclusion that you like to give to our viewers?
Viewers, think wisely, think civic way. Common sense is a major part to be implied with every individual as a human being, which includes me or myself. If you think, you will act upon very positively. That is, irrespective of being nature lover or whatever it is, you will act upon. And it is involved in your daily to daily life. Whatever you want to use, don't use extensively. Value that, conserve that, which includes your own clothing also,
Yeah.
which is necessity, use it. Don't use it extensively, which again is a garbage or a dumpster, which you are again destructing and you are responsible for destructing the nature.
Yes.
Okay, this is the conclusion which I could tell the viewers that be wiseful and be a good example for yourself.
Going
That's it, not for them.
minimalism is one of the ways to manage.
Yes, today even clothing is also a kind of a management. What you will do with the excess clothes or which is unused, what are you going to do that?
Yes, yes. The high fashion is trending a lot, but we should
Whatever it is, after your
modify
usage,
all of them.
what you are going to do?
Yes, we just need a minimal
Yes,
for our daily lives, and that would really
see, the CEO of the Vogue magazine, one of the leading fashion women, is now very concerned with her own clothing. Even though she is a fashion legend, I could say, she is more concerned and she clearly brings it to the public why you need so much of clothes in your life. What will you do with unused clothes? And don't talk about saying giving to charity or whatever it is. At the end, where it lands up, that is a garbage.
yes,
That garbage is again a pollutant.
yes, again polluted. Yes,
Okay. So this is a conservation. You need to start thinking about that from your own daily to daily life.
I'm so glad I already started my journey long back.
That's nice of you.
My cupboard is very shrink,
Okay.
very minimal. I recycle most of the time.
Yeah.
And not buy more than what is required. So I think I'm sure the rest of the people also will start following that
That
concept.
yes, yes,
Living
yes.
minimal is just sufficient.
Yes. The contemporary happy also.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is my message.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I am happy, glad that you made an opportunity, I being part of some tips and guidance for the coming generation and the present generation, I could say.
Yes, this is a very
Okay.
important topic that probably there isn't much awareness. Maybe there is awareness, as in for those in the fraternity, but for
Hmm.
the public, I think
Yes,
it would be more useful, and they would start to probably inquire. And
yes.
we never know, we might have another conversation on biodiversity
Yeah.
because that's another huge topic. So I hope to have you.
And here also, I will tell there are few institutions which started a career as an NGO. Now they are a full-time education institution, which is also a Salim Ali Center of Ornithology based in Coimbatore,
Okay.
which is now affiliated with ICFRE, Indian Council of Forest Research Education, Government of India. They also induct now MSc students, BSc students,
Okay.
and even PhD scholars they induct. So that is also becoming a not only a research-oriented institution but also an educational institution. Simultaneously, there is a Salim Ali Center of Ecology (SASO) in Pondicherry,
Hmm.
which is also inside the campus of Pondicherry University, which is again a old nostalgic institution. They also have courses where people or students can get admitted over there.
Okay.
So these are the institutions which people should know that this all exists over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for all this information. It has been very helpful for us to
Yeah.
create this awareness program for
Yeah.
our viewers and for the public. And I hope
Sure.
to have you again in our show. And
Please. Privilege.
yeah, thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank you. Good day. Yeah. Have a nice evening. Thank you. Bye bye. Best wishes. Yeah.